If you're changing the oil on a stock third generation Toyota Tacoma 2016 through 2023, you're in the right place. And make sure you subscribe because my next video takes this same process and makes it even simpler.
No one would take care of your vehicle more than you. My wife had her oil plug stripped at an oil change facility. And I've also heard horror stories of oil leaking driving home. An oil filter element is pretty cheap at the dealership over at the parts department for about $5. The cost of oil to O'Reilly's is about $40 for 5 quarts. Factor in the cabin filter and air filter, and the savings on labor starts to add up.
The kit does come with a gasket. The kit will come with this plastic tool, which we will not be using because we're going to be using this instead. And this Motivex oil filter wrench and drain hose here that it has is a lot better than this piece of plastic. It comes with O-rings that we'll need. The element, it comes with one gasket for the oil plug. All right, let's talk about the oil. Mobile 1 is the exact same oil that the dealership uses. It does take OW20, full synthetic, and it does take 6.2 quarts. So we'll take one full 5 quarts and a little bit of the other, and we'll call it a day.
All right, you're going to need a ratchet, 12 and 14 millimeter sockets, flat-headed screwdriver, an oil filter wrench, ratchet extension, oil drain pan, torque wrench, jack stands, and for safety you need patience, a cell phone, and inform someone that you're doing this. And I recommend a creeper, ramps, 3-ton jack, electric ratchet, Motivex oil filter wrench and drain kit, and a cold drink.
So before we put it up on the ramps, let's take a level and let's note where that bubble is. I do not have a leveling kit on this Tacoma, so it's slightly to the left. This will be important later.
All right, let's get it on the ramps.
And let's jack up the back. We'll put it under the rear differential. Let's go check our level. Perfect. So let's put our jack stands under. Let's lower it a little bit. Now let's go check it again. And it's perfect. Let's look at what it looks like completely set up. Now this is specifically for a Tacoma. We have to remove the skid plate to access the oil filter. It is a 12 millimeter socket. There are 4 bolts and 2 hooks in the front. Okay, let's remove these 2 front bolts. Now let's get ready because this is coming off. It came off one hook and it's dangling on the other. Just take that off and set it to the side. And there's our oil filter. Let's put on some gloves to protect our hands from all the chemicals we're about to get ourselves into. Let's pop the hood. Let's remove the oil cap. And we're doing that to give us a good flow when we drain the oil. Put a rag over the top. Get some good airflow going. Alright, let's take off the oil plug. That's a 14 millimeter socket. Gonna let that drain. Let that drain completely out. Let's clean the oil plug and place the new gasket onto the oil plug. Alright, let's put the oil plug with a new gasket back in the oil pan. And tighten it at first, and we'll come back and torque it later. Now let's clean off that oil filter just a little bit before we remove it. Let's move that oil catch pan underneath the oil filter. So just using an extension on a ratchet, remove that oil filter cover. Now we can just hand remove it. Let's clean that off a little bit. It's time to wire up the drain hose. And it will just screw in. Let's make sure that hose is in the drain pan. Let's turn that bottom nut clockwise and we will start getting oil out of the oil filter. And there it comes. No mess. Here's a pro tip. Gently pinch the top of that hose and it will have a better flow coming out of the oil filter. It's time to remove the drain hose. Just lay that in the drain pan. Let's put the Motivix oil filter wrench onto the oil filter housing. And we'll just put in an extension onto a ratchet and remove the oil filter housing. Now let's clean the oil filter housing and remove the element. Get a screwdriver and remove the large O-ring. Let's clean this out a little bit. Now let's get the screwdriver and remove the small O-ring. Place the new O-rings onto the oil filter housing. Now you want to place some of the new oil onto those O-rings.
After you place the oil on those O-rings, you want to place that onto the oil filter housing.
Place the new element into the oil filter housing. Alright, it's time to torque. Let's set this to 30 foot-pounds to tighten up the oil plug. And it sets. And tighten the oil filter housing. Torque the oil plug to 30 foot-pounds. Torque the oil filter housing to 18 foot-pounds. Torque the oil filter plug to 10 foot-pounds. Reattach the skid plate by hanging it on these two hooks. Bolt in the 12mm bolts. The third generation Tacoma takes 6.2 quarts of oil, so let's measure up on one to give us 3.8 quarts. Usually most cars will take 4 quarts of oil, but be sure to check your owner's manual. Okay, let's put some towels around the oil fill cap here so that we don't get any oil down on the engine. Let's put a funnel in. Let's clean this out a little bit first. Make sure all the dirt's out of that. Then we'll fill this up with oil. And the third generation Tacoma again takes 6.2 quarts of synthetic OW20 engine oil. One thing about filling the engine with engine oil, never, ever, ever overfill it. You will cause engine problems if you do. Alright, that's the end of that 5 quarts. Now we need to add 1.2 quarts from the other jug, and that will give us 6.2 quarts. So we only want to put oil in going down to that mark, nothing below it. To be on the safe side, just add a little bit at a time, and notice where it is on that jug. And that's it. Let's check the oil fluid level, removing the dipstick, wiping it off once first. And then we'll stick it back in. And the oil fluid level should be in between these 2 marks here on the dipstick. Alright, let's check it. And perfect. Right where we want it to be. And clean, fresh oil will always be almost clear. If it's brown, dirty, especially if it's gritty, regardless of the mileage, it's time to change the oil. Don't forget to put the oil cap back on. Alright, let's get these jack stands off. Lower the jack.
All right, let's get off these ramps and we'll do our maintenance reset.
Okay, let's reset the maintenance reminder. Turn on the engine.
Head over to settings, scroll down to maintenance reset. Click it, and yes, you want to reset the maintenance. There you go, we're done. Now here's a bonus. We're going to be changing out the cabin filter and the air filter.
So this is the air filter and the cabin filter I got at the dealership. Doing that, let's change our cabin filter. Essentially pop that up, take it out. And it snaps over here on the side, just pull it out. And then you can just slide out the air filter. Look at that, how dirty it is. Alright. Let's replace that and put it back in, this side up. Just pop that right back in. And then we'll put our cover down. We'll make ourselves useful while the oil is draining. Alright, good to go. Alright, let's change the air filter. Essentially pop up the clips on the side and pull it out. Doing that, let's change our cabin filter. Essentially pop that up, take it out. And it snaps over here on the side and just pull it out. And then you can just slide out the air filter. Look at that, how dirty it is. Alright. Let's replace that and put it back in, this side up. Just pop that right back in. And then we'll put our cover down. Make ourselves useful while the oil is draining. Alright, good to go. Alright, let's change the air filter. Essentially pop up the clips on the side and pull it out. Then make sure that mesh screen is on top and put it down in the reservoir there and then close it up and clip it back down.
Today. If you like that video, be sure to hit the subscribe, like, share, and comment down below. We'll see you next time. Smoky Mountain Taco, out.